Manoj. Hey Manoj, how are you?
I'm good, Mukund. How are you? How's everyone else?
Everybody is good. How was your week?
It was a little choppy. I made a small mistake in terms of shorting Nasdaq, but I covered it up in Boeing and Qualcomm. So I lost some and I made some. So week was choppy and still good. At the end of week, I still made some 1.5%. It was better than nothing.
Yeah, so for me, the week was excellent because I actually had a very big long position on Google. Uh,
Hmm.
and earnings were good, stock went up. But just before the earnings, I was a little bit nervous. So I took a small short put, a little
Hmm.
bit of insurance. Didn't mind it at all because as soon as I took out the insurance, it went up very, very well. So I was
That's
happy
nice.
for that. And then Meta, I took a lot of position, 28
Yeah, I saw your tweet.
yeah, today
Saw your
expiry
tweet.
options did very well on that. Very, very well on that. And then besides that, I've had a long-term position in Microsoft, so I'm not going to change that position in a significant way. I have very small position in ServiceNow, nothing's going to change. But other than that, the week was good. We had two stocks last week that we talked about that would be interesting. The IWM, which I think we said was going to be floppy, and then Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks actually reports earnings in a little bit. So both of them went about 1% up. But the real big movements this week I felt was China stocks.
Hmm.
So let me just share a little bit. I don't know if people have been following China stocks as much, but China stocks overall, whether it's XPEV or whether it's NEO, whether it's EDU or Futu, which is a trading company, have done exceedingly well this week. So if you look at the performance, and if I'm just going to look at focus only on stocks alone as opposed to um, ETFs as well, and if I
Right.
look at performance for the week, you look at the companies that have done very, very well, it has been largely the China companies. Of the top 20 companies that I saw, nearly seven of them were China companies.
Interesting.
So I think that might be one trade that will be interesting for people to follow. Look at this. So performance for the week, uh, the top performers still, as I see, and I'm going to make sure that the market cap is mid cap or higher. Otherwise, it becomes very, very noisy. It's about
Right.
1,200 companies, 1,900 companies or so is what I saw. Look at this: XPEV, and then Neo, Tao, Futu,
To-
Biki,
Mhm.
Bele. They're all China. EDU, all China companies.
Right.
So it was good overall. I think this might continue until next week. There's
Hmm.
nothing really stopping the market from going up higher, if you will. So I think that I think is an interesting angle itself. But overall, I think there's nothing stopping the market from going much higher. There are some headwinds, but next week's earnings, especially Apple and Amazon, will be very, very interesting to
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
the tone changes
Interesting.
in any way, shape, or form. But before that, let's just quickly go through what we did on the week for SPY, QQQ, IWM. We're going to start doing DIA also because I think overall it makes a little bit of sense. But
Right.
let's start with whatever you think you're going to be ready for
Sure.
the week.
Give me 1 second. Here we are. Here we are on SPY, which is S&P 500 futures. Okay. Yesterday, it was a big sell-off. Today, it was almost a V-shaped recovery. We did not recover with the entire fall from yesterday. It was still a very good recovery for anyone to start believing that, we are still in good shape, we are still in good hands, and markets are still going to rally. I still believe that we are headed for 50 MA. But market does not want to easily give up to the bear. So even if it wants to go down, it doesn't want to go down so easily and so rapidly that it will give bears opportunity to short. Let me accept that I was short yesterday. I made some loss today. I couldn't make money into that because market does not want to go low. Even if you look at the weekly charts, it doesn't give any indication that it wants to go down. Whether it is RSI, whether it is MSI. So of course RSI looks overbought, but overbought it was here as well. Overbought it was here as well. Overbought it is here as well. Overbought doesn't mean that we are going to go down. Overbought does just means that it is they're reaching the overbought zone sometime, maybe this week, next week, or next week it might consolidate RSI may still come down and market might still rally. Consolidation is the name of the game these days and not the correction. Even if markets are falling, they are falling just for maybe a day and then again running further. There is some small bit of correction, maybe 1%, 1.5%, then market's running again. So this market wants to go even further higher. There will be small correction, there will be consolidations, yet it wants to go higher. So all the dips are getting bought. Yesterday there was a big sell-off, today it was all again bought. So
what is the number on the 50? The red line is the 20 MA or is the 9 MA?
20 and 50. So I normally track 20 and 50. I don't go for 5, 8, and 9. 20, 50, and 200 is my preferred criteria because that's where I believe that
20 is the red line.
significant rallies come in place.
20 is the red line. And what are the, just show me the numbers again. Where are we at the 20 MA right now?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
20 is 4533, 50 is 4399, and 200 is 4096. 200 is very far off, so we are looking for 20 and 50. 20 is still not very deep. It's 4533. So yesterday we were at what? 45. Yesterday's close was 4564. Low was 4553. So very close to 20 MA and then again rally. 20 MA and then rally. 20 MA and then rally. All the way 20, 50 MAs and then rallies. It's a very clear signal that I would be surprised if in the next 1 or 2 months or maybe 3 months we make all-time highs and then again give some consolidation and again make a new highs. The reason behind being said that is because even if you look at Fibonacci, even if you look at RSI, even if you look at MACD, none of it, whether it is secondary indicators or primary indicators, it doesn't give you a signal that market wants to go down. There are some small bits and pieces kind of correction coming in, and the market again wants to go higher. There is just one aspect which I often spoken in my blog, which is the monthly chart. There is this one theory which I have since November of last year, because I was terribly wrong before November. I was short and markets were continuously going higher. And that theory is market wants to reach this high again. There will be RSI and MACD negative divergences on monthly chart. That's where probably a bigger correction might come into place. Probably. Again, I cannot be sure because this is prediction, this is assumption. Assumption and predictions are not something market works on. So whether it happens or not is something we'll see in future. But right now, definitely no, market does not want to go any lower. Maybe 20, 50 MAs would come in, but not too soon.
Okay, that's on the SPY. How are we doing on QQQ, NASDAQ futures? They also look pretty strong, actually.
Yeah, so look at this chart. I mean, of course, you are seeing too many lines here.
That's just a week.
Wow, exactly. And this is where I was short. I was short somewhere around here because I thought, no, this is not ending here. Definitely tomorrow morning we are gapping down. But at least it is giving me 100 points down. It did not give me any points down. It just rallied sharply. Markets open, futures open, then zoop, 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 all the way almost yesterday's high. So it was a double top kind of a thing, but I don't think it is stopping here. The reason why I say this is because, okay, so let me just hide some of those candles so that some of those trend lines so that it's easier for people to see.
You got a lot of trend lines, buddy.
Yeah, so I normally go based on daily and the 4-hour and the weekly, and accordingly I trade. So I don't normally follow this trend line so easily. So this is 4 hours. It clearly gives you a signal that it is actually a bull flag. If you were almost on the verge of breakout today, and I actually tweeted as well that if you are able to close above 15,900 today, that's a sign that market is breaking out of this bullish this bull flag and probably heading for the high of 16,000 plus. Chances are we are actually almost there. I wouldn't be surprised that if we are hitting the previous all-time high soon. This is all-time high, which is 60,700. Not very far. Definitely not very far. So I won't be surprised if market wants to go there in the next 1 or 2 months or maybe 3 months. How much time does it take? It's just give and take, but it doesn't matter. What matters is like market wants to go higher and not lower. Every dip is being bought. What worries me though is the kind of froth which is coming. So when I say froth, the kind of small caps which has no fundamental, which has no reason to rally, they are still rallying. I was looking at my screener today and some of those stocks were 20, 30, 40% down with no fundamentals, with no reasons to rally. And that makes no sense to me. And this was something that I was worried in 2021 as well. And I was guiding people that, hey, please be very wary. Don't put in all your money in the small caps because markets would reverse. But people, those were the new people, they were the new investors, they had no idea whether markets would definitely correct those much, and 2022 showed the correction. And I am worried that this is kind of a thing which would happen in the next 3 to 6 months. People would get into the trap of small caps and mid caps. They would just want to make money, quick money overnight, and they will assume that markets are again going to go lucky. No, I don't think so. It's going to be that way. So as long as markets are a good buy on dip thing, yes, I am going and buying, but I would be wary of buying the small caps and mid caps.
Okay. How are we doing on IWM?
So I'll start with
yeah, Dow
yep.
Jones.
Give me 1 second.
14 days of up or 13 days of up and then a down candle. Look at the candles. This is the daily, right?
Yeah, this is daily. Let me go to 4 hours first. Okay, so you want to see the number of candles? Okay.
The candles, the 14 candles is green.
Absolutely, absolutely. There was small red candle, but those make no sense, to be honest. This is just unbelievable. This V-shaped rally is unbelievable. And this all happened while people were busy trading tech stocks. This is just in front of us. It was rallying and people thought, no, it's tech stock. No. Industrial names were rallying and they are still rallying. I would not be surprised if, next few months, industrial names, which is Dow Jones, and small caps, which is Russell 2000, lead the way from here. Because Nasdaq and S&P 500 stocks, they have rallied all this year. It is time for other stocks to, take the baton.
Could
So
be
I would not
rotation,
be
is what you're saying.
I'm sorry.
Could be rotation.
Rotation, definitely. I mean, it's the nature of the market. Market always does that, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dow Jones and Russell 2000 actually lead from here. So, yep. If you want to say that how far it goes, let me just try and do the weekly chart here. See, almost there in terms of the new all-time highs. 36,736. What was it? 36,700, 36. 832 was the high, and we are at 35,500. So 1,300 more points. No big deal for market share.
Wow. That's amazing.
This is where big money is to be made. Russell 2000. It is still a long way to go in terms of making new all-time highs. It was what 2,400.
Lagging, definitely lagging.
Yeah, definitely more than 20% more from here. So I won't be surprised that next few weeks and months, all the small caps, we see all those rocket emojis and meme stocks starting to rally. Don't worry, it is definitely going to rally. But when it will stop, you will not know. So I mean, of course, we do want to make money, but we do not want to lose money all of a sudden. We do not want to lose our shirt. We do not want to lose our house. So making money into small caps is easy, but at the same time, losing is far more easier. So when this stocks start rallying, you have to be really careful that hey, it is going to reverse. So yes, I want to participate in this. I would definitely be long Russell 2000 futures, but I would be very, very, very careful in buying those small cap stocks.
Got it. Okay. Terrific. Let me just give you a quick summary of what we did in terms of the key earnings for this week. So there were about 13, 12 companies that I talked about that had earnings this week that we focused on, as opposed to a lot of companies that reported. To give you some context, Manoj, you and I shared this also via Twitter messages. I had got this from another person, and I get the FactSet email daily.
Mm-hmm.
So last week, 18% of companies had reported in the S&P 500, and 74% of them had beaten their earnings estimate.
Unbelievable. And this is on the back of expectations of recessions and their inflation and all those things.
Exactly. So you have to taper that a little bit, right? Then second, this week, 48 to 54. Today, at the end of today, it was 54% of companies had reported. So more than half of S&P 500 companies have reported. And 71% of them have beaten earnings estimates.
Absolutely unbelievable.
9% have beaten actually the revenue estimates. 81% have beaten profit estimates, EPS estimates.
Let me ask you one thing, Mukund. So when you, I mean, of course, you must be reading all these fundamental related things quite a bit, because I normally do not look at fundamentals very closely. I do read, but I don't follow them very closely. So do you think that all this beating of earnings is also got to do with maybe people were skeptical that markets would rally so much, or maybe companies would beat result, would be able to deliver on the earnings, and hence they were suppressed earnings, or their estimates were a little lower compared to what it should have been because of the way the markets were last year, because of inflation and because of interest rates and all those things.
When I looked at the data for analyst estimates, which is where all of the estimates and revisions come from, between Q4 of 2022 and Q2, which is last quarter, analyst estimations on revenue have moved down 22%. And analyst estimation on profit have moved down 42%.
Wow.
So the companies that said, oh, okay, estimates are low. Everybody's been guiding estimates lower. If you look at the, like what I mentioned, 54% of companies reporting, the companies that are beating revenue, top line estimates are still 60 something percent, but the profit estimates beating is 81%. So everybody was expecting a recession and they were expecting profits to be hit dramatically. Turns out, because of inflation, most companies are actually reporting higher profits.
Absolutely.
Right? Even though revenue increases are not significant, if you look at single digit for Microsoft, single digit for 10%, 11% for Facebook, very, very small upward revisions in terms of growth for Google and the rest of them. So the same store sales for CMG were very small at 7.4%. So it's not like companies are making more revenue. They're getting more profitable because they are either charging more, or a lot of companies in the tech space have tightened their spending by getting rid of people, lowering capex. You look at Meta, lowered estimates.
Possibly they have passed on the inflation to their customers, but they have not been hit by inflation as much as they have charged it back onto their customers. Or maybe they have not passed on the benefit of lowering of inflation, which has happened over a period of last few months.
And if you look at someone like tech companies, they don't have the inflation passing on, right? They've just reduced headcount.
Right.
Across the board, I've seen a lot of tech companies inflation. So let's just quickly go through some earnings that are interesting and important. I've highlighted the interesting and important ones in yellow on the left. Spotify, Meta Platforms, and Roku. The rest of them were good earnings as well. The most interesting company, as you would see, is Roku. Yesterday reported earnings. They beat earnings estimates in terms of their profit. Their revenue was in line. The guidance was okay. It was up 10% after hours and finished today at 30% over.
Can I tell you one more thing? Now, from the earnings beating point of view, from the basis of how much analysts were expecting and how much the company delivered, company still delivered a loss. Company still delivered a revenue of $770 million. Based on year-on-year growth or quarter-on-quarter growth, is there any data available which shows that they have shown a growth? They haven't. So it was suppressed estimates which resulted into stock rallying. Stock rallied, of course, 30%, but based on suppressed estimates that analysts said.
So you look at, let's go through the list, right? Snap, literally flat. Google, 4% growth. Spotify revenue growth is actually decent, but the reason why Spotify went down is because of their miss on the top line. And they had a huge bottom line. But the good news is Spotify's MAU has increased dramatically. The premium subscribers has increased dramatically. They're doing very, very well. So I'm surprised at the reaction, but they're probably going to go up again, right? Microsoft, 10%, man. It's not significant. Growth is now in single digits, actually. Chipotle, not significant. Meta Platforms, 11% growth. But they raised guidance for next quarter just through the roof.
I saw that. It was unbelievable.
Platforms did very well. ServiceNow had a good quarter. They're an unsurprising company. They will always do well. Roku, the big advantage was they've lost a lot less money than what was expected. And I think nobody expected that much of a focus on costs. FSLR, I think they did okay. The other big one, which took a beating actually, is Enphase Energy today. After yesterday's earnings, they did pretty poorly. But today, you look at it, they were down about 8% almost. They were 17% down after hours and then down about 8% for the day. So they did okay, I think, overall. Intel, no revenue growth to speak of, but the stock was so down that I think people kind of said, okay, we need to give a break. I think another thing that might be playing in some of these companies' favor is if you look at Intel versus an AMD versus an Nvidia has gone up like 200% this year.
Yeah,
AMD is gone up over 60%. Intel is literally flat to go nowhere. So I think just getting valuations, comparable valuations up might be another reason. And then if you look at Roku in particular, um, Netflix actually reduced their cost of video per milli from $45 down to about $35 to $40.
uh-huh.
And if you look at YouTube, they had a strong, relatively speaking, for themselves, they had a very strong growth in revenue. So ad-based platforms like the ad-based network that Netflix is now offering, ad-based tier, and same for YouTube. Roku, I think to a large extent, they're saying, okay, this is going to get only better from here. That's the whole, I cannot justify a 30% increase in Roku, but I think that's the only way to look at it.
Right.
There are a bunch of very good companies reporting next week. I'm not going to go through every one of them, but the most important ones I'll talk to you guys about are Amazon, Apple, a whole bunch of them on Monday, but Amazon and Apple by far are going to be the most important ones next week. Amazon reports on 3rd of August, which is Wednesday, Thursday. Sorry, then 3rd of August is Thursday, I think, right?
Yep. 3rd August is Thursday, yes.
Thursday. So on Thursday after close, they're expected to do about 131 billion with about 34 cents per share. And Apple is expected to do 72 billion in the revenue, 72.8 billion in revenue, and $1.19 EPS. The other ones, there are lots of companies, as I mentioned, ZoomInfo, Arista Networks, SoFi, Symbotic, Uber is expected. Same for DoorDash, Mercado Libre, Robinhood, Confluent, HubSpot. Next week is a big week. There are about 30 companies just on the list of the companies that I am tracking that are all reporting next week. So it's going to be a very, very busy week overall. So let's look at some of the interesting companies that are actually on the watch. Amazon, for me, is on the watch next week. SoFi, Confluent, Symbotic, and Mercado Libre. So let's just quickly go through some of them, not all, but maybe at least some of them to give a quick sense. Where are we? Amazon seems like an interesting one. It made up the entire red candle with a green candle today.
Right. So if you look at the chart, so this is what actually 50 MA reversal for me is. This is definitely a blind buy for me. It has so 20 MA mean reversion consistently, and then 50 MA mean reversion, and then rally. Rally crosses past 20 MA reverses, and then again rallies past. So this is a blind buy. I will definitely be vouching for this stock. Chances are that I mean, of course there is earnings, so I normally do not play earnings. But if it wasn't earning, I would have definitely bought it today. I would carry it for the next week and then sell it somewhere around maybe 135, 180, 138, 140. So it is actually a blind buy for me. Of course, there is a slight concern in terms of even though the stock is making new highs, MACD and RSI both are making new lows, which is negative divergences. But this is on the daily chart. So the reason I would still be bullish about it is because I have a belief that markets are actually not tracking daily chart as much as the weekly charts. So unless and if there is a consistently negative divergences on MACD and RSI on the weekly, I would not be very, very bullish on these stocks. Definitely, it is worth buying on the dips. So Amazon is a buy for me.
So let me ask you something, just that is an interesting question. So on the daily chart, the MACD, I saw the blue line
Right.
heading towards zero. On the weekly, though, it still seems okay. Why is it that the stock performs that way? What is it telling us?
Okay, so when you look at this MACD which is heading lower, RSI which is heading lower, so you look at the number of red candles here as against number of the green candles. What does it say? There is a small buying happening, then there is a big red candle. There is again small buying, then there is again a big red candle. So 2-3 green candles, small green candles, which leads to the rally. But then again there is a big red candle. So these big red candles leads in momentums dissipating, and RSI getting cooling off. So this helps in stock rallying up, as well as RSI cooling off, as well as momentum dying off. Momentum dying off is a sign that people are selling at the rallies, but stock still keeps rallying up. This is a sign, of course, to be a little wary in terms of whether the stock might get more cooled off. But when I say that I am looking at weekly chart and not the daily chart, because just look at how markets perform at the top. We were consistently making new highs on Amazon on the weekly chart, while RSI and MACD were making new lows. And then at some point, it crashed and crashed last, which is 2022. So as long as it is not making those divergences, I would not be bearish.
So when you look at the chart, you look at both weekly and daily just to get a
Yes.
confirmation, right?
Yes.
Okay, that was Amazon.
Next is
SoFi. Everybody's meme stock on Twitter. Everybody loves SoFi.
Oh yes, people do. This is not my favorite stock, but I would say that it is a consolidation time. I would not say that it is rallying very, So this is actually the supply zone which resulted into stock still rallying past. It is now a demand zone, so the stock would still get bought into the 20 and 50 MAs, then consolidate somewhere around here, and then after the consolidation it would rally. So I would say don't just jump on the stock to keep buying. Wait for the stock to consolidate, and then after the consolidation, once it starts selling, then participate. I would say it is for the next 2-3 weeks, it is definitely consolidating between the 20 and 50 MAs.
Earnings on Monday.
Oh, that's a good thing then.
So you're gonna wait for it, wait for the earnings so SoFi and then
Okay.
The solid company in terms of earnings, they've been very good.
Next is Confluent. Let me just show you the weekly chart here. There's a reason why I have made that. So supply zone, and that's where the stock reacted last week, which is here, and this resistance as well. But the plus point, it has already mean reverted 20 and 50 MA. So I would definitely be a buyer somewhere here. Then probably again it will. So there's a reason why it is a big supply zone somewhere around. It was also a IPO when it got listed, which was around 44, 45.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 44 it listed, and that's where every time it hits and then again reverses, hits and then reverses. So I would say it would definitely try and break past the supply zone in the next week or next to next week. And next few days looks good for the stock.
So Manoj, Confluent, just fundamentals wise, last quarter they did 172 million in revenue and announced 52 cents loss. Much better than what people expected. This quarter they're expecting 182 million with a 6-cent loss. Growth is about 27% year over year. Right, so 52 cents is actually the loss for last quarter expectations wise. So 182 is the estimate. 6-cent loss is the estimate.
That's interesting.
So I think overall these guys are going to probably do much better than I expect.
Yeah.
So then I would expect
technically also it looks good, and fundamentally, as you are saying, also looks good. So definitely worth looking at after earnings.
And remember, just go to last earnings. Just click on last earnings and see the power earnings gap up.
Wow, 34%. 34% was the beat.
Yeah, look at that gap up. Look at that candle. Wow. Huge gap.
Definitely, yeah. Worth looking at. Yep.
All right, that was Confluent.
Next is Symbiotic. Again, a deep buy on deep stock, consistently making higher low and higher high. So definitely buy on deep stock for me here as well.
This looks like a double top that went down, right?
Yes, double top result already. Double top has been materialized, so I wouldn't be worried about the double top anymore. It has already mean reverted 20 and 50 MA and giving signal that it wants to rally further. It is not giving up on the 50 MA at all. So I would be bullish on the stock. And if I want to be longer, I would keep the stop of. So for example, I want to be for long for maybe 1 or 3 months. My stop would be somewhere around here, this trend line. So maybe 34, 35 should be the stop, and I would keep keep buying the dip for the stop.
Got it. Mercado
bull flag, and almost on the verge of breaking out of a bull flag. So today almost it was there.
My favorite stock, man.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But yeah, so the reason it has consolidated in this bull flag was definitely RSI and MACD. Consistently stock was making new high, but MACD was not, RSI was not. So it was a negative divergences, and hence the stock gave up so much. And now the daily RSI and MACD are priced in. So do not worry about RSI and MACD on the daily now. Probably weekly would give you some clue whether it wants to go lower on the weekly. No, not yet. So definitely it is worth buying the stock. The reason it is consolidating somewhere here is also the 20 and 50 MAs on the weekly chart. Definitely a buy for me. Breakout is just around the corner.
What is the current price on Mercado Libre?
Closed at 1225.
1225, right. And just
So
to think about it, there were people that were looking to buy at 1250, even they didn't buy.
maybe it was again a buy around $1,000. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it was two supports. So one is of course the rising wedge kind of a thing, but if it is still under formation, it will long way before the rising wedge materializes. Right now, it is the bull flag which needs to be considered, and I would say that the breakout is almost around the corner.
Got it. Okay.
Almost done. Yep.
Perfect. It was terrific. Thank you, Manoj. It was a terrific week.
Thank you, everyone.
Hope everybody had fun trading this week. And I wish you guys all the best. Please subscribe to our channel. We're already up over 250 people now, Manoj.
Yep, that's a good thing. I mean, it has grown quite a bit in the last 2-3 months.
Awesome. Thank you, Manoj. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. Take care.